Someone's knocking at the door.
Somebody's ringing a bell.
Someone's knocking at the door.
Somebody's ringing a bell.
Do me a favor, open the door.
And let him in. Ooh, yeah, let him in.
Hi, my name is Jan Doyle. I grew up Janet Chesky. I was married for about 20 years, and I was Jan Hitchcock, and that's where my biker name came from, Hitchy or Hitchy Rides. And now I'm proud to say that I'm a Doyle. I ride a 2012 Heritage Softail. She's a beautiful tequila sunrise orange. Her name is Julius. Gotta match your bike. It's all about the accessories. When I was in high school, I got along pretty well with everyone. All different kinds of people, the different groups of people, which was a good thing, because there was a lot of different groups of people in school. And some of them you had to get along with just for basic survival. I went to Proviso East High School in Maywood. I would hang out with the jocks, the rah-rahs, the rockers, the druggies, the stuffy smart kids. I was kind of like a chameleon type person. I was able to adjust to the surroundings of the times and enjoy all these different groups of people. You never knew who would be knocking at the front door of my house asking me to go out, hang out, do something. Well, one day a friend approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to go to a party?" A party? On a weeknight? Well, Dave was 2 years older than I was, and his brother Dale was 1 year older than me. They were both pretty nice and really fun guys, and kind of cute too. So anything that they would invite me to had to have been a good time. Dave explained that we would go to school, get in a bus, take the bus up to Park Ridge. There we would play some field games outside, then go inside and have some indoor fun. There would be really good music, and we'd share some special times together. "Try it," Dave said. "I guarantee you'll have a good time and you'll want to go back." Well, Dave was absolutely right. I had a great time, and I did go back several times. I was so glad that I accepted that invite from Dave. Just like I'm really glad that some of you accepted an invite to be here today. That's wonderful. Well, that group was where I was introduced to Park Ridge, Sun City. For anybody not familiar with the history of Willow Creek Community Church, Sun City is the high school youth group that Willow Creek was birthed from. I still remember exactly where I was, in the basement of that little church, in the church, in a little Sunday school room. I was sitting on one of those little tables, you know, the ones that are about high enough for a first grader. And right there, sitting on that table, I had a conversation with God. In my head, in my heart, I was just chatting with God. I knew that I was happy, but I also knew that I was missing something inside. It was kind of like a puzzle that you're missing that one piece for. You know, you can put the puzzle together, the picture's still the picture, you know what it is, you can do the puzzle, but with that one little piece missing, it's just not the same. It's a big empty space. And that's how I was inside. I had something missing, and that was it. I figured it out. It was Jesus. That one piece missing in my life. See, Jesus was knocking at the door of my heart, and I knew that is what I needed. I needed to open the door of my heart and let God in. I understood what it meant to have a personal relationship with God and to allow God to transform my thoughts, my feelings, my viewpoints more and more to Him. Living in God's love and trusting in Him with every step of life turned out to be the best roadmap for me to follow. Well, in my senior year of high school, I met a wonderful man. He knocked at the door of my heart, and I let him in. I got married right out of high school. It was a great relationship, and I started having babies right away. My first beautiful and creative daughter, Jessica, was born when I was just 19. Then my awesomely crazy son, Josh, was born 1 year later. 2 more children, my ravishing rebel girl, Shannon, and then the best oops I ever made in my life, my remarkable son, Micah, dropped into our lives just 9 years after my first daughter was born. What a fantastic blessing. The best kids in the world. Has anyone ever had a baby knock at the door of your heart? All you have to do is look into their eyes, and you gladly open up your heart, and you let that little precious one in. No hesitation. All right, so what happened? My husband and I, where did we go so wrong? How did we let ourselves grow apart? Why didn't we even like each other anymore? When did we forget how to give or accept forgiveness to each other? How had life gotten away from us like that? It felt like the normal stress, disappointments, and crises that we would encounter in everyday life put big chasms between us that pulled our lives further and further apart. I know a lot of you can relate to this. I know so many others that have found themselves in this stage of life. Well, at that time, I had different voices knocking at the door of my heart. You've not been happy for a long time, Jan. You should go ahead and split up. It will be better. You'll have a better relationship with your kids if you're on your own, because you'll be a happier person. These friends meant well. They cared for me, and they thought they were giving me really good advice to make my life better and happier. So now I was opening up my heart to something very different, something I would have never considered before. And then it happened. I let it in. We ended up divorced. But you know what? Those voices, they were wrong. They were very wrong. For one time in my life, I should not have monitored and adjusted to those voices. The chameleon type person I was, so adaptable to my surroundings, I was turning a very dark color, and I wasn't happy. That grass was not greener on the other side. I heard a whole lot, and I made a real mess of my life.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Doyle, and they call me the Grand Pirate. Well, I have to be honest. I didn't make it up here because I won a beauty contest. I was asked to tell my story to the HighRoad community. Well, like so many of you, my childhood was normal, so I thought. It was a real long time for me to figure out that not all families had alcohol in their homes. Born and raised with Catholics, my family catered to the party scene. From an Irish Catholic family, we went to Mass, confirmation, and I did 8 years of Catholic school. But what a shame. I never really got to meet God and know Him personally. I didn't start experiencing alcohol until 5th or 6th grade. Yeah, it was then I started paying attention to my surroundings. I was the last of 6 kids and was exposed to a lot of things that 6th graders should not have been. What I remember from the past was the theme sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The sex was good. I was married at the age of 23 and had 2 beautiful children. The drugs were no problem. I just couldn't get enough of them or afford as much as I wanted. And the rock and roll was the part that did the most damage. Drinking, drugging, partying all night. I was never home, or if I was fighting with my wife. Eventually, I became single again. Go figure. So after being asked to leave my home, I started chasing wild women and bought a motorcycle. This is when the problem really started to escalate. I received 4 DUIs over the period of 10 years. I was fortunate enough to meet a wonderful woman, but now I was in the process of destroying that relationship too. I decided that I was tired of being drunk, tired of using drugs, and I had a gal that I really didn't want to lose. Then there was the judge that told me, Doyle, 1 more DUI and you will do a minimum of 12 years in prison for me. So I slowed down enough to hear the knock, a knock on the door of my heart. Even with my hard head, this knock was loud enough for me to hear. I received help from an AA group. They all referred to our God as a higher power. I wanted to be plugged in a little better. I felt I needed to be amped up, possibly 220 or 480 volts. So I started attending church services. Today, this is a place where I get my weekly battery charged. And I did get amped up. They call it born again. And he asked, what the heck is that? This means that God is back in my life, and this time I have a day in, day out personal relationship with God. He knocked at the door of my heart, and I opened the door and let him in. And now he is my road captain. Sorry, McNally. Plus, I'm hanging with some great people, the HighRoad Riders. With the guidance and support of God and my HRR family, I'm humbled and proud to say that I now have over 11 years clean and sober. My wife and I found a new family and friends here. Since attending service and going on bike rides, I have enhanced my lifestyle. Today I have a positive attitude, participating in study groups, and have strengthened my relationship with my wife and our God. It's a nice new road I'm on, and I think I'm going to stay in this lane. There's there's nothing like a hot breakfast with friends, the smell of bike exhaust, and of course, fresh cow manure. The HighRoad Riders make it fun to attend these services here at Willow Creek. Whether you're here for just the biking, or the breakfast, or the people, there's always something great going on in this community. Thank you, HighRoad Riders, for this amazing experience.
Hi. Well, because I got married so young and became a mom so young, I never really lived those fun-filled years of the 20-year-old. So at that point in my life, I was around the age of 40, I decided to make up for that lost time. And boy, did I have some fun. I knew a really fun guy, too. And he had a motorcycle. You know all about those motorcycle guys. What a wild ride that was. Yep, you guessed it. I opened my heart and I let Tim in. We had a very fun and wonderful relationship going on. You know, growing up and through my first marriage, I was never really exposed to alcohol or alcoholics. So I didn't recognize that Tim was an alcoholic until quite a ways into our relationship. Then there was the point where I thought, this might just be a problem. And what a problem it was. When alcohol is in control of things, it causes damage in so many ways. And this was all new to me. The fun just wasn't quite so fun anymore. We thought we had something very special, but we kept running into problems and issues and arguments. Kind of like that old shovel head that has a broken part, or you know it's leaking every time you want to roll it out of the garage. So I did what I knew I needed to do. I opened up my heart to God again. He was still there. He was still in my heart. I just kind of stuffed him in that back room for a while and shut the door. You know, that room where you store stuff away and shut the door when guests come over so you don't have to deal with that not so clean mess. Yeah. Well, that's where I had stuffed God. And that's why I had found myself so off track. I was lost and meandering down the wrong roads in my life. Now I needed to get some guidance to figure out which way should I turn, what should I do. I didn't really want to stop and ask for directions, but being a smart woman, I knew that sometimes you have to, sometimes to avoid going around in circles aimlessly, you have to get those directions from someone who loves you unconditionally and will direct you down the route, the best route for your life accordingly. So with both Tim and I now attending Willow Creek and asking God each and every day for guidance, we are in fact riding the high road. We aren't perfect. We still make plenty of mistakes. I still get lost pretty easy, which is why you won't ever see me leading any of these rides. But I know how to ask God for directions, and I know that God will never let me down. He will always lead us down the best lit roads. With God's guidance in our lives, we have the love and the power to sustain through the worst times and the depths of crisis. The changes in our hearts and our lives are proof, living proof, that we can do everything through Christ who strengthens us, including standing up here speaking to you guys today. And I've also opened my heart to this new family, the HighRoad Riders. We are all riding this ride of life together. It couldn't be better, and I couldn't be happier. Who's knocking at your door, at the door of your heart? Is it time for you to open up that door and let someone in? Today, just to remember that we're surrounded by amazing friends and have an amazing God that will ride the ride of life alongside of us. Let's all knock at each other's door today. When you greet someone today with a handshake or a hug, give them a knock on the back or the shoulder. Open the door and let them in.
Thank you, everybody.